So welcome back, and on to part 3 now, the final part of the tutorial. If you made this far, I'd just like to say thanks for taking part. If you followed along and you've made your own ghillie suit eliminator, I'd love to see it, so feel free to send me a photo of your finished work on Instagram. It'd be really great to see other people running these models in their armies. I'd also really appreciate any feedback you can give me on these videos. This is the first video I've really ever made, so I don't particularly know what I'm doing, but I'd like to keep making videos about mini painting, so any feedback I can get would be really helpful. It would definitely help me make better videos in the future. So let's get started, and I've got the first two colours here. I've got Castle and Green and Rhinox Hide. You don't exactly need these colours, you can just go for a dark green and a dark brown. So if you're using like Vallejo colours or I don't know, whatever other brand, a dark green to dark brown is where to start. Just got the airbrush out here. You don't need an airbrush to do this. You can have a normal brush, it's going to be the same process, okay? So what I'm doing is choosing a place at random to start with, and I've begun with the green. You can also begin with the brown. It doesn't really matter which you start with. And so the method of creating the camouflage pattern, it's actually really straightforward. You're just going to choose a random place in the model. You'll be adding in some larger layers of paint here, some smaller areas of paint here, different shapes. You don't really want it to look uniform and orderly. You want it to be looking random and a little chaotic. So try and focus on that. And so that's the first color down, then into the brown, or if you started with brown, onto the green. And now it's just a matter of blocking in the colors that we didn't do with the green. This is also a good time to come over patterns that you weren't happy with. If you laid down the first color, you haven't got to go back over with any black or anything like that. You can just come in with a second color and correct those so you've got a pattern that you're happy with at the end. And so really that's all there is to it for this part. And once you've completed that, don't forget about the gun barrel also too. Once you've completed that, you're going to grab a dry brush and then we'll move on. And we're back with the dry brushing stage, and I've got Steel Legion Drab here, or you can get a medium tone brown. And we're going to start highlighting the brown areas. And so I'm just going over it very lightly here. As far as the amount of paint left on the brush that you take off, leave a decent amount still on, so it's almost like an overbrush technique than a dry brush, but be very light with it, as you don't want to damage all the work we've done on the suit. So just a nice delicate touch for this part. There's not really much to it really, other than going over the areas that are brown. If you're worried about maybe being too precise and you go over the brown into the green, it doesn't matter. It actually ends up making it look even just as good because it sort of blends it all in together. So don't worry about being too neat and tidy. And I'm just finishing up the brown now. I think I've went over it a few times, slowly building the color up, um, instead of starting out being too heavy with it straight away, and then it'll bring the color forward gradually. And now I've got myself the green, so I've got the auric flesh from Citadel. Again, you can use pretty much any similar type of green. And nice and light, just covering the green areas. Don't worry too much if you accidentally go over onto the brown areas and cover your other highlights. Yeah, it'll just make it look more blended. So light to start off, and then just build upon these areas in different passes until you get a better saturation of the green. I'll let this play on a little bit just so you can see what I'm doing, and then we'll finish it up with just the last step. We've got one more color to go to bring everything together. And the final highlight is I've got Shapti Bone, which is, I guess, is more of a highlight for the brown, but we're going to cover the brown and the green. And this does a really good job of tying everything together and really highlighting the entire model. Applying this very, very lightly. I don't really want to undo the highlights that I did previously. I just kind of want to accentuate it, bring another level, another dimension to these highlights. And I think this is what this step does. In my opinion, without this step, the model just doesn't look as sharp, as good. And that's us. That's actually the ghillie suit completed. Because beyond this, you can paint it pretty much however you wish. I paint mine as ultramarine, so it's blue, but I mean, you can paint it whatever chapter you want, and do the base however you want to. But as for the ghillie suit's completed. I'm just comparing it here with the first ghillie suit that I did, and I think I've brought forward more color this time, but I actually quite like it. So I'm pretty satisfied with the results. So I think what I'll do is I'm just gonna leave this part here of me painting the model, and I'm gonna speed it up, and I'll come back at the end of the video for the ending. But I'll leave this here for now, so hope you enjoy. was very relaxing actually. I quite enjoyed that myself. Now I'm quite sleepy actually. But that's the end of the videos, and I hope you enjoyed them. I've really enjoyed making them. Hopefully you get something out of it, and I look forward to seeing your own ghillie suit eliminators. Of course, if you did enjoy it, please give it a like. If you're on Instagram, hit the little heart. If you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up. Because we're on YouTube now as well, moving up in the world. And yeah, so hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.